How's it going, everybody? In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to stay on topic when you're rapping. So I basically got a question on one of my videos that was sort of a more story-like song that I put together. And the question was, how do you stay on topic when you're trying to make something like that? So in this video, I'm going to go over a couple ideas for how you can stay on topic. So the first thing to really think about is staying on topic is actually more of a story writing or structuring exercise than it is an actual rap exercise, right? So the first thing that you want to do if you have a topic or a story that you really want to get across is to actually outline the story first, right? You want to go, okay, in the first verse I'm going to do this, the second verse I'm going to do something like this, third verse I'm going to do something like this. If you're going to make a song, you're going to want to kind of map out the structure of the song and say like, okay, this is how many verses I have, this is how many bars I have, to get an idea of the amount of space you're working with, right? So instead of thinking about it of like, oh, I'm going to write this line, then this line, then this line, think about it more in terms of what is the story I want to put together, what are the constraints, right? You are trying to fit a certain set of ideas into a particular box, which is, you know, whatever the song is or the verse or however you're going to structure that. So you need to understand the structure you're working with first. Then once you have sort of this idea, you want to start getting more and more detailed. Now, that doesn't mean you start writing your lines, you start putting the verses in, the rhymes, whatever. Don't do that. But basically, once you know the structure, start putting in pieces like, okay, so here, this first verse is going to be about, I don't know, the first year of this person's life, and the second verse is going to be about a different year, and the third verse is going to be about another year, and in the first year, they go to this place, and they meet this person, and in the second year, they do this other thing, and get in a fight, or whatever the hell you want to talk about, right? So what's important is that you start from a high level and start filling out more and more details. And one of the biggest problems I see is as you start getting into actually writing the verse, having the rhymes lead you instead of you leading the rhymes, right? The way you want it to work, the way that it's going to be best structured is if you have all those ideas, you have the structure put together, you know, okay, these first four lines are about this, the next four are about this, and then you can use those constraints to fill out the bars at the very, very end of everything. So that's sort of the main way that you can start building out that structure, right? You start making things more outlined. Now, other things that you can do to sort of stay on topic, right? How you can build that outline or how you can fill out the details is using a couple different tactics. So one idea is sort of these parallel structures, right? So people kind of like to see these things echoed across different verses, right? That's one of the ways to construct this. So an example might be different parts of life, right? You might go, oh, here's a verse about when I was a kid. Here's a verse about when I was in elementary school. Here's a verse about when I was in college or whatever else, right? There's these three sort of parallel parts of life. Another way that you can do this is kind of do contrasting verses or opposites, right? You can do like, here's the positive verse and here's the negative verse and here's the neutral verse, right? Like these three different styles or whatever else. That's another way to really like stay on topic or maintain some coherency between verses. The last thing that you can do, or just another idea of these parallel structures, is basically like characters, right? You can use different characters' points of view. So you can say like, oh, well, this is the guy's perspective, and this is his friend's perspective, and this is the girl's perspective, or whatever else, right? However you're constructing that story, different characters' points of view or different characters' experiences, even if it's not the same event, is another way to add sort of this parallel structure to help maintain coherency around a topic. A couple other things you can do like a continuous story, right? Very straightforward, like this is the first thing that happened, the first verse, this is the second thing that happened, second verse, third thing, third verse. That's really easy as long as, again, you kind of use that outline so you know how much space you have to work with. Because what I see people doing is they start writing, they get through the second verse or something, and they're like, oh shit, like I have way more of a story that I need to tell, I don't have verses, I don't have bars, whatever else. So you need to kind of construct the story to fit within those constraints. Another way to add some coherency, stay on topic, is to use sort of related events. So you could do something like, oh, here was an earthquake and what happened. Here was an earthquake and what happened. Here's an earthquake and what happened. But three separate events in three separate parts of the world that are all tied together under one theme. That's another way to really keep a topic strong. Again, this is really about being able to tell a story or write sort of a story structure. So the rapping part is not as strong here. I mean, it's the mesh between the two, but the more important thing is that you're able to structure a story with constraints. So any tools that you have for writing stories or thinking about stories or putting together stories is going to be really, really useful in being able to stay on topic. Again, what I see most commonly is people go, oh, I'm going to write this line, then this line, and just see how it comes together. And more often than not, you're not going to be able to sort of put the narrative structure together in a way that the topic remains. You're going to get led by the rhymes, and that's one of the most important things here is to not let the rhymes lead you, right? The rhymes are a secondary piece of the story that you're trying to tell, and you need to have the story kind of put together before you go into any of the rhymes. So the most useful thing here is, if you already can't put together a verse, like you kind of struggle to put together a verse, whether or not it's on topic or maintains the theme, then you need to get that down first, because that's sort of an afterthought, right? You put the story together, then you just turn it into verse form. So it's kind of the meshing of these two skills. And then once you have that put together, you can sort of, tweak lines and structure and whatnot to get exactly the polished look you're looking for. But at a high level, those are going to be some of the things that are most useful. That's all I've got for this video. So as always, if you have any questions, comments, topics you want me to cover, throw them down in the box below. I'll get to them as soon as I can, and I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please take a second to like and subscribe, as it really helps. I've also got a second channel, How to Happy, which focuses on health and well-being. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.